So Plotly is pretty neat because it actually will generate a web page with your chart and it will be interactive. And you can actually FTP it to the web and it's super cool. In fact, I'm going to show you an example or a couple examples that I put on the web for you guys to kind of play with. So this is super cool, and you'll notice you can download, you can zoom in, there's all these controls. Um, so this is a pretty neat feature, and we are going to learn how to use it. Now, there's a lot of different variations that you can implement. We are keeping it simple, or trying to keep it simple in this class. So we are just going to be using Plotly. We're not going to be using any of the additional modules or third-party modules that you could download, install, and use with Plotly. We're just going to use plain old Plotly by itself. And you guys should be getting good at this. You are going to have to open up your command prompt, and you are going to have to install it. So it's just Python -m pip install --user Plotly. So Plotly 4 is the version that is for offline use. That is the version that should automatically be installed for you. There are over 30 different types of charts that you can create with Plotly. So I do have a link to their website. And we're just going to cover how to do just a couple different ones, just to give you a little feel for how it works. So instead of importing matplotlib, now you're going to be importing plotly.graph_objects. And then you're going to give it an alias. Now there's two different ways you can create a plot or a chart using Plotly. You can generate an object or a dictionary object. So we are just doing a regular object. That is what the textbook author is doing. So we're not going to learn both techniques. We're just going to learn one. The syntax that you use to create these charts is very different depending on what type of chart you are going to create. So to create a pie chart, what you do is you specify your labels and your values that you're going to chart and your colors. I mean, that's all stuff we did before. Okay. What's new is that we're using the alias for Plotly dot, so it's go.figure. And then we've got the data that we are setting equal to go.py, and we're passing it the labels and the values. And then we're going to use a couple additional commands to customize our chart. So the fig.update_traces helps control the interactivity. So we're dealing with a pie chart. So hover info, when we're pointing at a wedge, we're going to have it display the label and the percent. For the text information on the wedge, we want the value. We're specifying a font size. And for the lines in between the wedges, we want those to be black and we specified a width. Then for the layout of the pie chart, we can basically control titles and we can control margins. So I specified some title text. I specified a font color and a size and a font family. I did include the supported fonts down here. But usually the fonts that will display in a web page are dependent on what's on your computer too. Then I've got something called X and Y ref. So the X and the Y ref, the default is page instead of plot area. So when I initially displayed the pie chart, the title was way over on the left because it was aligning to the left of the page. I didn't like that. So I changed it to paper. So paper has everything aligned to the plot area instead of the page. And I thought that looked a lot better. I also adjusted the left and the right margin. So how did I figure out how to do all of this? I actually looked at the Plotly reference library, the layout page. Took me a while to find it, but you can customize all sorts of different things. So I have the link here for you guys so you don't have to search around and look for it like I did. So we have, let's kind of recap here. We have go.figure, which basically tells it that we want a pie chart. It specifies our labels and our values. We have figure.update traces that specifies what we want for interactivity. We have figure.update layout that basically tells it the title and margins and how we want the titles to lay out in respect to the plot area. So our next step is just basically to tell it to show the chart, and we use figure.show for that. So here is the full example, and that is what it looks like. The neat thing about this is that these are responsive. So this is a responsive layout. It will look good on all devices. So this is something that you can copy and paste and run. Okay, and you can see what it looks like. And the reason that this is here instead of way over here is because I changed that X ref to paper. But you can see you point at it and it's showing you the percentages when you hover, but it's actually showing the values that were charted in the wedges themselves. This code will create a 2-column bar chart. So you can see that some of the commands are similar, right? We have go.figure, but you'll notice that I'm not passing it anything, and that's because I have multiple bars. So I've got figure.add trace, go bar. This is my first bar. And then I've got figure.add go add trace, go bar for my second bar. And I am specifying what's on the X and Y axis. I'm giving it a name, and I'm using RGB color for the color of the bars. Then I've got figure update layout, where I'm specifying the titles. You'll notice that I've specifying font for the ticks, some information for the y-axis, information for the legend. Okay, and for bar mode, if you want a clustered chart, you have to say group. You want to give it a gap between the groupings of bars. Okay, and then you have show. And that is what it looks like. Then this last example is a line chart. Okay, and so you can see that the line chart, because there's multiple lines, it's kind of set up like the bar chart where we have to add each line separately. And then we adjust the layout and show it. Now, just running this code as is not going to give you the web page. To get the web page, you have to make a couple adjustments. So this is the bar that is adjusted. And you'll see that I'm still importing plotly.graph objects, but now I'm also including from Plotly import offline. Okay, then I commented out figure.show, and below that, I had to add offline.plot. And so the data that I am plotting is all in the figure. So I have this figure variable that I set to go figure, and then I'm adding the bars to it. So all the data that I'm plotting is in figure. And then the layout that I want to use is in the layout variable. So that's what I'm telling it. And then I'm giving it a file name. So I'm going to go ahead, or maybe I will convert this one for you. All right, so when I run this, it currently is not converted. So it would just run and it would not save the web page. So I have to take this from Plotly, import offline, and I need to add that at the top. And then I'm going to comment out fig.show. And I'm going to add this line at the bottom and adjust it, because that line is for the bar chart, and that is not what this chart is. So let me look. So the data that I'm going to chart, is it still in Fig? Yes, it is. All right, so that part's right. The layout. Is the layout in a layout variable? Does not appear to be in a layout variable. So I need to create one. So all I have to say is layout equals fig.update layout. Now it is in a layout variable. And for my file name, I'm going to call it line v2 because I already have line. All right, so let me run this. And as long as you don't see errors down here, it is working. And what you should see up here, instead of seeing like the 127.1 business, you are actually seeing the name of the web page. And take note of where it's storing it. So it is putting it in my main directory. It's not putting it in my chapter 15 folder. So where I'm going to find this page is in CIT 228.